Hello there friends, Steve here. It's been a while since I made a video walk. I did make a few, I didn't upload them. Been very mixed up really. Anyway, this is a video, this is my channel, and you know, anybody who's new to the channel, welcome you aboard. It's a new year and everything. It's a new date in the calendar, I guess. The seasons change. That affects us. Affects me. This channel, yeah, when I started making these videos, like a lot of video makers, we've got a particular topic, a particular idea, something that we want to show. Some people make cooking videos, you know, how to make different recipes, their own inventions, things they like. Other people make sports videos or activities. Other people present news, or, you know, so a guy like me, you know, if I was making a video about my hobby, identifying wild plants and herbs, then throughout my day, you know, I'd get up and have my breakfast, have my cup of coffee, wake up, shake off my nightmares or dreams that I've had, you know, get dressed and get my equipment together and put an effort in to making a video about plants, herbs. And each day I'd come out and think, okay, it's a winter's time, what type of herbs and plants are available throughout the winter. I would show you then shots, and I would get back home, edit it up and put it online. Maybe then I've got something else in my life to deal with. Maybe I'm going through hard times that week. Maybe my dog died or something happened. But I don't want to let that affect my video performance. So I put on a brave face and I make videos. So at the end of a year, what you would see on my channel would be a happy Steve. You would see a guy with apparently no problems, and you would then be interested in what I had to say about plants or whatever, because you also share the same interest. On the same merit, I come out with a camera to talk about what it's like to be a human. To talk about feelings, emotions, to talk about perception, talk about existence, non-existence, community, existing with one another. You know, who is the universe? Who is the one perceiving the world? Is it a shared experience? You know, all of these kinds of questions, because life, you know, we don't just function like robots in life. We have interests, whether it's gardening or sports or the news, and one of the interests is not being in pain, not being in frustration, not being in suffering, you know. So if we was playing football and suddenly you kicked a concrete ball and broke your toe, you wouldn't continue playing because now you have pain. In fact, you can't play football again for a while. So obviously problems, if you call that a problem, is relevant. You know, if we had like two robots playing football against each other, maybe the aim would be just to play until they're destroyed, and we would build some new robots. But we have one life, we have to look, you know, it's worth looking after. So it's the same with mentality. You know, if you was like, you wanted to go to Russia, you know, you wanted to see the culture, but not only to actually see the culture, but you wanted to talk to people and things. So you decided to learn a little piece of Russian, and you lived in, say, England, and you looked through the Yellow Pages directory and found a Russian tutor, and you went to that Russian tutor, and it cost maybe some money or free or whatever, and he gave you lessons an hour or two every day or week. And over time you learnt some Russian, and you got to Russia and you started speaking Russian, and suddenly you was getting the opposite response to what you thought. Then you check the words that you learned, and you found out that this Russian teacher, he'd taught you the wrong words for everything. Love was hate, up was down, and for some reason he was just didn't like you or something, so he decided to just teach you all the wrong words. Now you didn't know, you used the medium and you got to Russia. Now that's a problem. You're getting programmed, say, you're programming yourself with this information. A disempowerment, really, because you obviously, if you get to Russia and use all the wrong words, people will forgive you if you explain to them that all your words are back to front. But commonly in that society, within communities in that society, you know, people would just have a problem with you, and then you'd have a problem with the people. Now let's say if you had a whole community of people who all learnt Russian from a wrong tutor, and they were using all of the wrong words, they wouldn't misunderstand each other, because the meaning and the word correlated. Up meant up, down meant down. So a whole community are using the words backwards, but because nobody knows the better, it's compatible. So that, again, you could move from one Russian community to another Russian community, and if they, you know, you would be instantly reversed in your language. Obviously, through the widespread information and travel and going around the world, it's not likely that a language is going to be completely changed like that. I don't think, you know. Maybe that's the difference between languages that we have, is that they're all kind of upside down, topsy-turvy with each other. I know, for examples like translations between German and English, the word gift in German means poison. And strangely enough, the word present means present, which also in English means to be there now, to here now. So I'm here now, and I'm talking about problems. I'm talking, you know, some people like to say to me, I know, I'd rather call them challenges. Maybe only because the word problem has been defined in your life as being a different word. Like the word argument can have the meaning of like a statement which is to be proved true or false. It doesn't mean shouting at each other. You see, so if you're having an argument, you're having, you're checking a statement to verify whether it's true or false. Essentially, that's what an argument would mean in the right context, or in some contexts. Obviously, we have different realms like mathematics, ship navigation, knitting patterns. You know, in every different kind of field, the word is reused and has a slightly different connotation. So there's a hell of a lot of room for confusion, and there's a hell of a lot of room for frustration and problems. And generally our world, call it society, system, whatever, that the realm in which we live in is inherited its chaos from the past. So it's kind of got, it's a controlled chaos, isn't it? You know, you see that the English language the language rules are impossible to calculate, but we all understand them because we just taught them from birth, and we pass them on. We take it all for granted when it's actually man-made. It's not natural inheritance in that way. It's supernatural inheritance. Like I say, you know, if you was taken before the age of 3 and put down in Russia, you'd be speaking Russian, not the place where you was born. But you would still, your eye colour wouldn't just change and things like that. You know, you wouldn't suddenly become, you know, of Russian origin, you know, genetically or whatever. You wouldn't suddenly change skin colour, obviously, you know. So there's certain parts of us that's permanent, certain parts of us that are temporary. And those temporary parts are generally, yeah, man-made. And also the root of much of the confusion and things. So that's what I talk about. You know, I've rambled on for, what, 10 minutes about that. That was supposed to be the introduction. Being here and now, and why I'm talking about problems. You know, this channel is dedicated to looking at certain aspects. Put it this way, this channel, I dedicated it to fill in a space that other channels don't fill. I would turn on television years ago and look for people, and I was always interested in biographical, sort of listening to what people, how people got to where they are, what went through their lives, the hardships, the trials and tribulations. To listen to people talk about themselves, or from themselves more than anything, you know, from their own experiences, not about what they have or what they do, but, you know, the way they feel about things and the response to questions. When we watch, most of television is people talking about something or somebody else. A news reporter you see on the TV, John Craven or somebody, and then you don't know anything about their lives. You know, maybe after 30 years when they're retired from the business or something, they would then do an interview about how they became a presenter or a reporter or whatever. But generally, the newsreader is there functionally, you know, he's not there on a human level other than to represent, you know, some information that may be on a human level. But his participation is rolled, it's a role. In a way, same as a football player, you would see him on as a part of a team. You don't get to learn about all of his trials and tribulations and training and how he had diarrhea for the first 4 weeks of this practice or whatever embarrassing information. The embarrassment, the personality is always left out. Almost like a magic show where they don't tell you the trick. Now I think not knowing the trick all of your life, I think it leaves you a little bit disempowered because you don't realise that life's a trick then. You don't realise to which depth the trick is. You know, we learn about tricks like Christmas and traditions like that, Santa Claus coming down the chimney and things like that. You know, it's a magic trick. In fact, the children believe in this stuff because we maintain an illusion. That's, you know, a magic trick. Luckily we get to the age where we realise, oh yeah, you know, Santa doesn't come down the chimney. Otherwise there'd have to be a secret society that put presents in your living room, or gifts. Poison, as I said. So we're poisoned by you know, the information of society. And we know what happens when we take poison. And it can be over years, like a toxicity over years, and never notice and always wonder why you're tired or you're struggling with life, you know. And it's information toxicity just the same. Now, to get back to the here and now of this channel, and me and my channel, I mean, that's what it's about. It's about me because I'm a human. I mean, like Freud and people like that would take... I'm just going to verge off into the woods here, so I've got a bit of privacy. You know, Freud, or what was he called, Freud, Professor Freud or whatever, he would, you know, he would like do his studies on children and things and people, you know, child psychology. And that's okay, but one is you can only get statistics through external observation. You know, to really know what it's like to feel hungry or painful, you need to be subject to that yourself as an experience. And you need to really report that firsthand. Now, somebody else could tell the report to the rest of us, but in essence, if that person, the subject, has got the eloquence to define what they're experiencing on their own merits, then they could tell the world better, you know, and be questioned. What does pain feel like? What does hunger feel like? And we all take it for granted that we feel the same thing, but if we questioned each other, what does pain feel like to you? Oh, like electricity, or like fire, or like cold. But at the same time, we mutually empathise. We all feel pain, we all feel hunger, we all feel loneliness, we all feel confusion. You know, these things we feel. And so to enjoy and have a good quality of life, it would make sense to minimise those things in every situation. You know, if you had a pain in your foot, you wouldn't walk a different path. Okay, maybe if you had a pain where it was like, you know, stony, rocky ground was hurting, but grass was not, then you could change the terrain. You see what I'm getting to is like, you know, if you've got a bad leg, it's not about choosing another path to walk on in that sense, but realising that the leg needs healing. It's the same in society, you know, there's only so many improvements you can make to yourself and the world around you before you have to look and say, well, why isn't this improving anymore? It's because you're walking on a broken leg. You're trying to change path, but the leg won't heal, you know. Sometimes you just have to shut off the pain. And just say, okay, you know, I've got to get to the destination anyway, and I can make it. But it would be stupid not to acknowledge the pain and also the cause. It's so easy for me to just become functional, to just turn off my feelings, to turn off my heart, to turn off my connection to my soul, to the big everything, to turn off my spirit, you know, never let myself get angry. Thus never really feel what it's like to be happy, because everything's just a fake smile then. One thing that I think it's good to smile when you don't know what else to do. But I think there's certain times where just smiling, grinning and bearing it is the absolute wrong thing to do. If pain did the same, you know, let's face it, pain is there as a protection. You know, you're walking, you stand on a thorn, that thorn has like now damaged your body. If you don't take the thorn out and let the body heal, then it'll get worse. It's jeopardising your existence on a physical level and a existential, spiritual level. So the biology of your instincts, whatever, yourself, you would receive pain at exactly the place where the pain was, you know. Usually, I mean, they get phantom pains. But you got your thorn in your foot and you can feel your foot's hurting. In fact, every time you put pressure on it, it hurts even more. So it's kind of telling you, don't put pressure on it. So you don't. It's almost mandatory. You know, direct punishment. But you know, the pain's got a purpose. The pain's got a purpose, and to address that pain means to address the healing. And I think teaching is healing. As much as teaching can be filling someone full of misinformation, disinformation, false concepts, false equations, false ideas, ideas of society and equality across the board. You get filled full of these ideas that, you know, they become more just like information put in rather than information given and thought about and then taken. Even in school, we're almost forced to take in information, and we're punished for questioning that information over a certain degree. Punished by who? Punished by people who are convinced that that punishment is right, because it gets that right from a society, from a society, from a company, you know, from a body. But it's not coming, it might be coming from an individual, it's coming through an individual, but it's definitely toxic. It's toxic information that's poisoned someone's mind in order that they can think that they have any form of rights derived from a group. You know, unless you put yourself into that group and say, you know, I am a part of this group, so therefore I should be treated like every member of that group. You know, but I belong to humanity, and there is nobody, no man or woman that has any more authority over humanity than anyone else, you know, regardless of how you conceptualize it. In fact, any man or woman that can't help me has no authority over me, you know, or you. It's so funny, isn't it? You know, just walking through the forest, what do I find? Just in the middle of the forest, this is you know, one of them light-saving bulbs. Now, what's in this is mercury. You know, this is the reason why we don't have amalgam fillings with mercury anymore, because it's toxic waste. You know, when you die, they have to dispose of your body, and the mercury goes back into the soil. So that's why they banned it from dentists. They wouldn't want, you know, they wouldn't want our world being polluted with the things that we put in our mouth. Same as this. This was supposed to save energy. Because it doesn't get hot and things like that, you know, but it's very toxic to the environment, and I don't even know why this thing should be just laying around in the middle of nowhere. Who brought it? A member of society that hasn't been educated or has no moral value. So what should I think of that? You know, what should I think of living in a world that has a double standard, that talks about unconditional love, but only if you like smile and go along with the masses. It's not even an accessible place.